All right, so today I just wanted to talk about something I literally just started thinking about. I think a couple of days ago came across, I was on Netflix, as we all are, and I saw that they added podcasts to part of the things that you can watch on Netflix, basically. And I was like, that's interesting. Because I remember doing a quick Google search not that long ago where I was like, what is the podcast market looking like in the coming future? And, you know, Google search AI whatever said, "Oh, the podcast market is going to be maturing, right, over the next couple of years." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Then that means that there's going to be a lot of people doing it. Then that means there's going to be a lot of competition, right? If you wanted to start a podcast, then it might be a bad time to start it because of the amount of people who would already be starting podcasts." But then I don't know. For some reason, while I was literally over here editing a podcast, right? Um, I was like, what about if, because everyone knows about the whole when there's a gold rush, there's a lot of money to be made selling shovels, right? And theoretically, in this example, the gold rush would be everybody's rushing to create their own podcast, right? Because they're trying to build their own personal brand. Selling shovels in this particular example would probably look like being one of the companies that helps people create podcasts, right? So I'm wondering if there's a huge opportunity for those who want to help businesses create podcasts, and I don't know, in the form of video editing, in the form of videography, right? Maybe in clipping, whatever it may be, right? I wonder if some service based business, essentially, right? Like, I wonder if there's a huge opportunity here. In the same way, I don't know, back in 2013, 2014, a lot of people were thinking about, not even a lot of people, but social media was on the rise, and, SMMAs were on the rise as well. And the people who started SMMAs back then probably made the most money, right? Compared to like now, for example. So I don't know. It's just something that's on my mind right now. If you're somebody that's looking to start a business, a podcast editing business might actually be, this might be a good time for that type of business right now. Now, the one thing that I'm trying to figure out is if there's some way to connect podcast creation, right, towards making businesses more money, right? That's the problem that I don't know how to solve right now. But I think if there is some way to connect podcasts to increased revenue, that right there might be the valuable thing that you could sell for a lot of money, theoretically, right? There's something, and if you think about it, or if I think about it, there's something about how when social media, right, was on the rise and still is on the rise, when social media first came out, right, um, there was a lot of there weren't a lot of people understanding that there's a huge arbitrage on just having a lot of people pay attention to you, right? Later on, we figured out that when there's a lot of people that pay attention to you, um, then advertisers are willing to pay just to get access to those eyeballs, right? Now it's like it's not necessarily as much. There's not as much focus on the fact that there's a lot of people paying attention to you. I think there's a lot more focus on the fact that people are trying to create trust with an audience, right? And that's what podcasts I think help with, right? With giving that authentic parasocial relationship with um, the viewers, right? I don't know what the arbitrage opportunity is on just that level of trust just yet. I'm assuming that it makes a really, like, a creator, for example, that can convince their audience that they are very authentic and trustworthy is probably more likely to be able to sell more than a creator that, while even though they post a lot of videos, their audience doesn't really trust them. So I'm guessing that's what the next thing is. And I don't know. I think podcasts. I'm not saying podcasts are the new SMMAs or whatever. I'm just thinking there might be huge opportunity here, right? Something to think about, right? Part of the reason why this is also on my mind is because earlier today I woke up to a text from one of my current podcast clients who was like, "I have a friend who wants to basically do a podcast. Oh, he's actually already doing a podcast, but he wants me to provide the same service that I do for him to his friend. And I was like, interesting. So to me, I'm reading this as there's demand here, right? And specifically, there's demand for my skill, my expertise when it comes to editing podcasts, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, is there an opportunity here for perhaps, you know, a valuable business, right? And that's just that's where all of this whole thought process kind of started. What if there's a huge opportunity here for those who are helping people create podcasts rather than trying to create podcasts themselves, right? What if there's a huge opportunity here? I'm not sure how many people are thinking about it. And the main thing here is that Netflix is trying to compete. I just heard on some YouTube video that Netflix is trying to compete with YouTube because YouTube is the most watched platform right now, right? Netflix is trying to compete with YouTube by introducing podcasts onto their platform. If they succeed, if this experiment that they're doing actually succeeds, to me, that's huge indication that podcasts are not really going to go anywhere anytime soon, right? I thought it was on the down end of the bell curve, right? But it might still be projecting up. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how much revenue is to be made with podcasts specifically. So something to consider, something that was just on my mind. That's kind of the end of where the stock goes. But yeah,